Here's what's coming up today on the Prove Me Wrong podcast. Like, man, I could just strangle you right now. Then bam, flashbangs going off, men in black military-style body armor. They're crashing through your windows, guns drawn, shouting and screaming. The kids are crying, the dog's pissing on the floor from fear. Cops are forcing you to your knees at gunpoint, and then they're putting this neural halo on you, and that's it. Welcome back once again, everybody, to another fun-filled episode of the Prove Me Wrong podcast. My name is Pete Lieb. I'm your host today. I am alone. I'm flying solo. That's okay. I brought my A game. I'm ready to go. And I want to actually start with a quick movie review tonight. So normally, no one would confuse me with Roger Ebert or Gene Siskel. I tend to pick a lot of really dreadful movies, actually. It's one of the things that my wife, Christina, endears me to her or irritates her about me. Either way. You know, potato, potato, however you want to mention it. Actually, she makes fun of me most of the time for the movies that I will sit and watch all the way through. But I'm not a quitter. You know, once I get to a point where I start a movie, I feel like I have to watch it to the end. I feel like I have to see how it resolves, or I've missed something. So I have watched some terrible movies in my life, I'm not going to lie, all the way through. Simply because there may be that eureka moment where, wow, this thing really just took a left turn and it turned amazing. Most of the time it's the other way. Most of the time you get that dusk to dawn where the first half of the movie is fabulous and then all of a sudden vampires show up and you're like, what the fuck just happened? That's usually more like it. So again, I want to start tonight with a movie review. And it's really just because here I was sitting on the couch, flipping channels on a Friday night, the life of the party as usual. You know, kind of the joys of getting old, right? You know, just the mere thought of the effort necessary right now at my age to put this Frankenstein monster face back together, put on clothes that are clean, that match, get in a car, drive to a location, put on another face to act like I'm someone I'm not, you know, the life of the party. It depresses me now. So I usually just find myself sitting alone because, hell, Christina goes to bed at like 8:30. She's long in bed. So if we're not out on a Friday night, I'm sitting alone at home on the couch watching movies. So there I am. I've landed on the movie Minority Report. And if you haven't seen it, there be spoilers ahead. But if you haven't seen it by now, you probably aren't going to care. The movie was made in 2002. It's 17 years old. But I do recommend it. I mean, it's really fantastic. Tom Cruise stars, for those of you who don't know. It is directed by Steven Spielberg. Again, it's a great movie overall, great special effects, action, acting, and the premise is incredibly interesting, and it leads me actually to the point of the discussion today. So I want to talk tonight about the notion of personal privacy. Personal privacy for us as Americans and for people around the world, really. Is it a God-given right? Or is it being slowly stripped from us right under our noses? Have we unknowingly allowed the government, foreign and domestic, and or private corporations to steal our private information for years in a number of different ways? And if so, will you even notice when it's totally gone? And do you even care? I do, personally. If you care, is there anything you can do about it right now? So those are some of the things that I will kind of meander around tonight, and we'll talk it through. So, Minority Report. Tom Cruise is a detective for the Washington, D.C. Pre-Crime Division, which is a department that specializes in the investigation, the capture, and the incarceration of potential murderers. So, we've been in this podcast now for about 4.5, 5 minutes. If you are still with me, you heard me right. Tom and the pre-crime unit are investigating people for something they may do, might do, haven't done. Based on, in reality, as we find out in the movie, it's based on the lunatic ravings of psychics and mystics. And then they take this information and they arrest perpetrators before the act occurs. All these criminals are actually innocent people at the moment of their arrest. They are convicted for life sentences. So that, that's pretty messed up, right? Would any of you want to be sitting in your house? You get into an argument with your significant other. You have that brief flash of anger that overcomes you. Like, man, I could just strangle you right now. Then bam, Flashbangs going off, men in black military-style body armor. They're crashing through your windows, guns drawn, shouting and screaming. The kids are crying, the dog's pissing on the floor from fear. Cops are forcing you to your knees at gunpoint, and then they're putting this neural halo on you. And that's it. You're guilty. Life sentence, game over. In the projected future of Minority Report, people are guilty for what they think, not what they've actually done. I'm watching that, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, isn't that where we are right now in a lot of ways? The thought police have been in full effect over the past couple of years. You say something wrong on social media, and the morally superior drop the hammer. You're guilty by association, follow the crowd, or be cast out. In the words of Rush, I believe that was, conform or be cast out. The masses are supplied their opinions by government-run media. Depending on your political leanings, you can watch CNN or you can watch Fox, and you get a completely, entirely different worldview. There is no impartial news media anymore in either respect. I don't know that there ever was. I mean, obviously, the news media used to protect public figures significantly, right? They would protect presidents, protect actors, actresses, would not report on that dirty laundry that they are now. And I think that in some ways it's good to know those things, but I still want, from my media, I still want the facts. And I don't think that we're getting a lot of the facts anymore. I think that we're getting some of the facts and then a lot of the interpretation of those facts. I don't want your interpretation of the facts. I want to make that decision on my own. So I'm a big sci-fi fan, and I love seeing what filmmakers can project our future to be. Some movies get it pretty close, right? And then some take home run swings and they strike out terribly. And then sometimes when you wait long enough, you'll get movies like Back to the Future 2 or 2001 Space Odyssey, where the future has come and gone, and now it's in the past. Then you can kind of see, how did they do? In 2001, they had HAL, right, which is a personal assistant, basically an AI that would run your house, run your spaceship, and we're there now, right? We have that with your Alexa, with your Siri, things like that, your personal assistants, and we'll talk more about them later. But then at the same time, by 2001, they expected us to be much more heavily involved in space tourism, something that we are not doing right now. But that totally makes sense, right? At that point, at the point when that movie was made, which was late 60s, early 70s, we had just made a bunch of trips to the moon. And so it's logical to think that by 2001, we would be exploring space much more than we did. And we've already covered that in a past podcast where we're talking about why we did not go back to the moon or some reasons why, and then what our plans are for the future. So you can take a look at that one as well and take a listen. And then Back to the Future 2 also kind of took some home run swings and missed a little bit. You know, they expected us to be riding in flying cars and riding on hoverboards at this point, which, yeah, we made a hoverboard a couple of years back. It was on wheels, but after about 17,000 people broke their coccyx on that damn thing, they kind of pulled back on that technology. So we're not quite ready for the hoverboard just yet. But in my opinion, watching Minority Report, it is one of the better future predictors that I've ever seen. The movie is technically set in the year 2054, but the ideas and the technology in a lot of ways are here today. Just to give you a brief synopsis of the movie, they actually utilize 3 psychics, if you can believe it, who lie in a tub of Epsom salt or milk or something similar, all hopped up on opioids all day and dream of nothing but murder. You heard that right. These poor bastards do nothing but lay in their own juices all day and have visions of death and murder. And I find it very interesting that in this future world, with this amazing technology and a civilization evolved past that of our own time, they are reverting back to witch doctors and the supernatural, as if they are still huddled around a fire pit deep in some cave covered in animal skins, and accusing and convicting individuals who have not, at this point, committed a crime. A modern-day Salem witch hunt, right? They are accusing people and convicting them on what might happen or what has been said might happen from someone else, not what they've actually done. These visions, they're transmitted to Tom, who is tasked with deciphering the scrambled images, working out who the victims are, the perpetrators are, and then he has to pick up context clues to determine where this will happen. The psychics were nice enough to give him the when. They know exactly when, which is convenient, right? It adds a little bit of drama to the movie to make sure they're working fast, and it gives them a timeline. But him putting together all these images and context clues, this is done using motion capture technology, basically waving his arms around in the air and having the computer incorporate his movements into action, which was technically non-existent in 2002. We didn't have it in mass use. But now, every PlayStation and Xbox has Kinect technology now. So, that was one thing that seems pretty simple now if we're watching it now. But back then, it was amazing. 2002, it was an amazing thing. So, this movie is going forward just fine until Tom then sees a vision of himself committing a murder, and then the actual story starts. And now he's on the run. He's trying to clear his name on a crime he has not committed. In terms of the future tech, because I'm not going to go too deep into this movie, I'm not going to give you an entire review of the movie. It was a good movie. Watch the movie. But in terms of the future tech, there is photo and video manipulation and a ton of targeted consumerism. There's actually a scene in the movie where Tom walks into the mall, and every billboard that he passes scans his face and immediately tailors an ad specifically for him based on his buying habits and past shopping history. And we're absolutely in those two realms right now on Facebook. You look up something on Google, you just search anything today. Go ahead, go into Google right now, type in paper clips. And in your timeline feed, you will see promoted ads from Office Max promoting paper clips. It's scary, and it's immediate. You do a Google search, immediately those ads show up in your Facebook timeline. So we are already there in terms of targeting consumerism, where they're looking at what you have looked at, what you have. It seems to me like I don't know that I've even searched for it on Google. I've just said it out loud. And saying it out loud was enough for something in my house to pick it up and sell it and then feed it back to me in my Facebook timeline. I can't be the only one who thinks that's happened. I cannot be. So this Minority Report, again, they project the motion capture, video, photographic manipulation, targeted consumerism, and a little more subtly is a complete lack of privacy from the government, even in your own home. Even inside your own head. You can't even think something without the government knowing it and coming to get you. Don't think we're there yet? Let me tell you this story then. I got a message from Christina. It has an image attached to it. And it says, "I can't wait to grow old with you." And so I open this image, not really sure what I'm going to see. And here there's an elderly couple sitting at a restaurant table. They're seemingly very happy, smile on their faces, and they look somewhat familiar to me. And at first, I'm not making a connection between her statement and what I'm seeing, other than just random shit your lady sends you when they pull an old couple married 50 years and projecting our future onto that. Guys in the audience know what I'm talking about, right? So that's what I thought this was at first. And I was about to give the obligatory like emoji, love of the heart emoji, whatever. The universal symbol for, yes, I totally agree. I love you very much and cannot wait for this plan of yours to come to fruition, without actually having to say all of that. But then I looked a little closer and I realized, wait, that woman is Christina. She is about 80, hair is grayed, some jowls, a bit of a chicken neck, but sure as shit, that's her. So that must mean that this kind-eyed, white-haired older gentleman with a slightly wonky smile, apparent touch of dementia, that must be me, right? Oh, hell no. So it takes me a while to see this, I'll be honest. Because in my worldview, in my self-view, when I look in the mirror, I still see a lad of about 25 years old. I have a natural Snapchat filter over my eyes when it comes to my own reflection. So crow's feet don't exist. Laugh lines are non-existent. I am forever at the height of my beauty and my power. So this old man staring at me from a table in my favorite restaurant, it does not compute to me. I'm a fighter. I'm an age fighter. I'm a death fighter. I'm not going down like Woody and Buzz holding hands as they slowly sink into the incinerator at the end of Toy Story 3. No, 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 no. I'm going down like John Wick, fighting off the entire fucking criminal underworld, no fucks given. So me as an 80-year-old right now is blowing my worldview, my life view, my death view, every view. I'll be honest, I was a little depressed for a minute, okay? Maybe a few more minutes. Well, I sat there and I stared at it. And then a funny thing happened. Slowly, mind you, but inevitably, the horror of my pending demise wore off, and the wonder of this technology took over. This was an amazing picture. It was definitely me. The manipulation was so good and looked so natural. Not like a lot of those ridiculous Snapchat filters that tweak your face unnaturally or give you antenna or a star halo or dog ears or turn you into a vampire. This was so good that you could post it online and it's a real person. So I scream into the other room for Christina, ask her how the hell did she do this. She says it's an app, fittingly called FaceApp. And she says a couple of celebrities posted their old pics online, and she wanted to see what we looked like. So of course I downloaded the damn FaceApp, right? And it's got a free mode and then a pro mode, and of course, like every app, they're trying to make you buy the pro mode. But anybody who knows me knows that's just not happening. I'm not paying for anything. So I take the free mode, and in the free mode, they allow you to make yourself look younger, make yourself look older, change your hair up a little bit, add some facial hair, put glasses on yourself. Basic stuff. And since I've already seen myself young, and still, as we've mentioned earlier, I still see myself as young, that was not as exciting for me or impressive to me as going old. So that's what I did. I took a couple of pics online with Christina and I aged them through this FaceApp, and then I posted them online with some funny, sarcastic taglines because, like all of us, I'm a struggling stand-up comedian at heart, right? If not in practice. Much funnier in my mind than in reality. And for the next 2 days, my Facebook timeline is flooded with old people. Apparently, everyone wants to get in on the act. The intended consequences, right, of social media. The immediate connection of all of us. We share our lives with each other. We have fun. Like 3 years ago, when everyone was dumping cold water on their heads to get out of donating to charity. Or last year, when everyone was posting pics of themselves 10 years ago and now, so we could get the, oh, you haven't changed a bit, or still beautiful confirmation posts that we're all so desperately in need of. Now we're all retired and living our best lives in Boca Raton, busting out in the early bird special, right? So that's the kind of the best part of the internet to me. But it does speak directly to what we talked about in Minority Report, photo manipulation, video manipulation. You can't believe anything you see online. Any photograph that you see online, you have to almost assume if it's in your Facebook timeline, it's doctored. It's not real. Which is a shame because you see some incredible pictures and you want to believe them because you've been conditioned as a human, since birth, to believe what you see. And now you can't even believe what you see. It's already hard enough to believe what you're told because believing what you're told is only as good as the source. Like we mentioned earlier, depending on if you're watching CNN or Fox, you're getting a completely different worldview and a completely different story. So you already are skeptical of what you hear. Now they're also making you skeptical of what you see. And so when we get to that point in the world, stop the train, I want to get off. Because what do you believe? And where do you get the information that's trustworthy? That's the point where we're at now. Where can you go to get real information? What can you believe? So this Face app did nothing to help my overall confidence in video and photography that you see on Facebook. But it was still amazing. And to me, it was harmless, right? I mean, people are just taking a look at what they're going to look like, projecting themselves as a little bit older. It's all in good fun. But then comes the inevitable backlash. And this is the unintended consequence of social media, the worst part of social media. That guy or that gal, I don't want to discriminate. They both exist. That guy who thinks he's smarter than you, that guy who is definitely more woke than you, more socially responsible than you, and at least on his keyboard, he is simply better than you in every way and will use his Facebook platform and his keyboard skills to inform you of that fact at every opportunity. So that guy is sure to make you understand, after a couple days of us all having fun, that the Face app is not simply a fun way to change your hairstyle or grow a goatee without your friends making fun of you for looking like a beatnik poet or aging yourself. No. In reality, Face app is nothing more than a Russian collusion vehicle for the Trump administration. And by downloading the app, you have given the Russians the power to access your camera roll, and now they have free reign to do whatever they want with your dog pics and your bathroom selfies and photos of the chicken tacos you ate last night. And so then after that, that's always just the start. That guy just starts it. And then come the annoying memes people marking themselves as safe from the Face app and suddenly relevant and still sinister Russians. They're not being colluded. The Russians aren't getting my information. And then the smug statements that they were too smart to fall into that trap. I won't be giving the Russians access to my privacy. And while that guy is super annoying and mostly just a rotten, angry person who takes joy from poisoning the joy of others, there are a couple of points to be made there. First, again, you can't trust anything you see or read. Any photo or video can be manipulated to promote as authentic, and a meme is only as trustful or as factual as the person who is posting it wants it to be. You see posts every day with terrible statements or actions attributed to someone that simply aren't factual. There are enough people in the world, though, who will believe what they read and share that post, and then suddenly misinformation and deception is truth. You see memes with Donald Trump's face, and they have a post from Hitler off to the side of it, and they're attributing it to Donald Trump. And there are enough individuals in the world who do not know that that's not real, and they believe it, and it's not their fault. They have been conditioned from childhood to believe what they see and what they read, and this internet thing is so easily manipulated that we haven't got to the point yet where we are just naturally distrustful. And when we do, I pity everybody. That's a terrible place to be, when you are naturally distrustful of everybody. So right now, there are literally dozens of apps that will manipulate your face to the point where if it's the only place someone sees you, then they see you in real life. They won't recognize you, right? If they only see your pics on Facebook, you could walk right past them in real life and they wouldn't know who you are. And second is the very real threat of these government agencies, both foreign and domestic, as well as private corporations that are mining your private moments for their own gain. Most people, I would assume, absolutely do not want to give up their personal information. But even that guy, who is so smart, has already given away his privacy. He's on Facebook. He's on Google search. He's got a library card. He's got a driver's card. He's probably got a concealed carry license. He is on a government list. They got you. Bought and paid, my man. Where do you go when you want to escape surveillance? When you want to stop feeling like you might be listened to by microphones or watched through surveillance cameras or tracked by invisible tech gremlins burrowed within devices? Certainly nowhere in public. Perhaps it's your car, maybe it's your house, or maybe even your bedroom. For sure is a lot smaller than you were expecting it to be. And in reality, if you have an Alexa, if you have a Siri, if you have a smartphone, if you have a smart television, if you have a Ring doorbell that has the camera and the microphone, all of those things are monitoring you right now. Google actually forgot to tell people that its Nest camera, Nest Secure, came with a built-in microphone. They thought it was just a camera. In reality, it has a built-in microphone. And what's worse is all of these personal assistants, Amazon Alexa, Siri, they need AI training, right? So they need to have training to understand what it is that you're saying so that they're actually turning on the lights and not ordering 200 pounds of dog food off of Amazon. So that training is done by humans who listen to audio from users' homes without their knowledge. So no one, I would assume, no one using the devices knows this. But again, all of these personal assistants do it. So Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Samsung, anybody I'm missing, all have humans reviewing audio recorded through devices. And depending on what information you're getting, these people listen to as many as 1,000 clips per person per shift. And they share it to other individuals within the group when they need help figuring out something that they couldn't understand, or they come across something amusing, somebody singing badly in the shower, or someone screaming for help, or someone having sex. These things are what they're listening to. They're listening to you while you have the illusion of being private. We invited these devices into our homes. We give them as gifts, and we know what these microphones and these cameras actually mean. We know that at that point, they can target us. They know exactly where we are and what we're doing. I actually read a report that said Amazon can paste a user's coordinates stored in a system as latitude and longitude into Google Maps, and in less than a minute, they can know exactly where you are. Well, they use that for good or bad, who knows? But the point is the capability is there. So Amazon obviously says these tools they're highly controlled. Anyone misusing them will be punished, fired, what have you. But that could be too little too late, right? The statements from these companies obviously want to calm customer fears so that they will continue to buy, right? But these promises are only as good as the people who actually follow through with them. And in reality, there have been a couple of Facebook employees that were caught and fired for using information that they accessed using that company information to stalk people, to stalk women. And other Facebook workers have said that multiple people have been terminated for abusing access to the site, including stalking exes. We're all human. We have real lives outside of work. You have a breakup, and you have this tool right in front of you that allows you to know where that person is at all times. Sometimes the enticement is too great, and they misuse it. It's not just Facebook. Also, Google has also fired some employees for accessing user data, stalking them. So this could be a huge problem. The bottom line here is, for a lack of a better term, we're already bought and sold. There is no safe space in your home, out in public, that protects you from the current world. You step outside your house, you're on camera, every move is recorded. You stay in the house, and your internet browsing history, smartphone, TV, personal assistant, doorbell, baby monitor, security system, they all have someone actively monitoring your private conversations, if not the thoughts in your head. So what can you do at this point, right? It's kind of too late. And what's the point of the whole discussion today? It's really up to you what level of intrusion of your privacy you're into, what you're comfortable with. For me, I don't personally want the personal assistants. I don't have a smart TV, but I have a smartphone. Everybody has one of those. I have Google. I have Facebook. So I'm still there. What can we do, right? You don't go back to a corded rotary phone. No Wi-Fi, no technology, a lead-lined closet where you can collect your personal thoughts. I think that's a little bit extreme. Maybe we've all just adjusted to the current state, and in reality, the conveniences of these innovations, they're pretty great, right? They are helpful, and in a lot of cases, they're life-saving. If you didn't have some of the information that you had, if you didn't have the ability to yell out, you fall down and your Alexa's there and you yell out, Alexa, dial 911, and then your life is saved. That's pretty damn good. But to get that, you are giving something up. So it's kind of a normal thing, right? You give and you take. You give and you take. So you're giving away your privacy and taking some of the convenience of the day-to-day interactions. Hopefully, we do not get to the point of the 2002 movie Minority Report, which I started this conversation off with, which again is a fabulous movie. I would recommend it to anyone. hopefully we do not get to the point where our thoughts are monitored. And I think that that's on the verge as well with the VR and the things that are going to be going into your brain, implants into your head that you can take phone calls directly into your brain. That is scary shit to me. I don't want that, period. I don't want them to ever have access to my head. And that's where they were at in Minority Report. They had access to your brain. And they were catching you and convicting you on things that you hadn't physically done. I don't want to go that far yet. Hopefully you don't either. But to me, it's an interesting idea as to where we're going and where does this stop. So if you like the conversation we've had today, you can like us on Facebook app. We have Prove Me Wrong Facebook. We're also on SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and the podcast app, and really anywhere that you find podcasts, you can find us. You can drop us an email also on provemewrongcast@gmail.com. If you have any feedback about this episode or you want to suggest other episodes or other topics to discuss, please feel free, send us a line, and we will get to that in an upcoming show. So this episode of Prove Me Wrong Podcast is brought to you by Zendozone's Citronella Burners from JT Eaton. They're shaped like fearless little tiki gods, and let Surfin' Stan, Hawaiian Howie, and Luau Lily bring the islands to your backyard with Zendozone Citronella Burners. Zendozones uses natural 3% citronella candles and incense cones, perfect for patios, decks, backyards, campsites, poolside, and more. Enjoy the outdoors again. So get Zendozones, so they're available now on Amazon and at Ace Hardware. Collect them all today. So again, for Pete, I'm riding solo today, but it doesn't mean that I love you any less. Thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon.